Hey everybody, John Skiba here from the Consumer Warrior YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to take you step by step through the entire Chapter 13 bankruptcy process. But if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, please click subscribe, check on that bell, that way you'll be notified each and every day when I put out a new video that'll help you deal with serious debt issues. All right, let's talk about Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Here on my YouTube channel we talk a lot about Chapter 7. I'm a bankruptcy attorney in the state of Arizona, and that's most of the cases that are filed nationwide overwhelmingly are Chapter 7. So I want to talk to you about why you would file a Chapter 13 and then what that process is like. The first is the why. Why would you do a Chapter 13? Now, Chapter 7 is much simpler. It's about a 4-month process. You're not required to pay back any of your creditors, and you can move on. Chapter 13 is anywhere from a 3 to 5 year process. It's more expensive, and you have to pay some money back to your creditors. So why would anybody choose that? Often, it's not your choice. There's something called the means test in a Chapter 7. In a Chapter 7, if your family makes more money than the typical family of your size in your state, you may have to file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy rather than a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. That's something, the means test, it's very difficult to find information online. That's something you ought to consult with an attorney in your specific state to be able to go through those numbers to determine if you're actually going to qualify for a Chapter 7. The other reason people file Chapter 13 is because it has a lot more tools in it than a Chapter 7 does. Chapter 13 is designed to help people if you're behind on your mortgage payments or if you're behind on your car payment. You're able to keep your home, keep your car, get caught up on the payments going forward, and with the situation with cars, actually even get it paid off. Chapter 7 does not have that. If you are behind on your mortgage payment in a chapter and you file Chapter 7, it'll probably buy you 2 or 3 months, but in the end of the day, they're going to be able to restart that foreclosure process, and there's no mechanism to help bring you current like there is in a Chapter 13. So let's talk about the Chapter 13 process. The initial stages are very similar to Chapter 7. Before the case is filed, there's a petition that's prepared. There's what are called schedules that are prepared that include information on your creditors and your income and your budget and your assets. All of that is disclosed, and the forms are actually pretty much identical to a Chapter 7. The biggest difference is the Chapter 13 plan. This is a plan that you and your attorney are preparing and submitting to your creditors and to the court that's showing them who's going to get what. You're essentially proposing a monthly payment that you're going to pay to the bankruptcy trustee, who will then distribute this out to your creditors. Now, I have another video that we're going to provide as far as how that's calculated, because that's always the first big question everybody has, is how much am I going to have to take or pay to my various creditors? I can tell you that the biggest 2 elements that we look at in determining how much you pay is we look at your income and your monthly expenses, and then we look at your non-exempt assets. So for most people, we look at income, expenses, and then we look to see, is there any money left over after you pay your regular bills, not counting credit cards, all that kind of stuff. Whatever that number is, that's usually what goes to your creditors, but there's some variations to that. So we'll dive deeper into how the plan payment is calculated in another video. Now, after your case is filed, they put the automatic stay in place, which stops all collections against you. Stops foreclosures, stops repossessions of your vehicles, stops phone calls, letters, wage garnishment, bank levies. All collections stop as soon as it's filed. Now, about a month after your case is filed with the court and all the documents are submitted, you have a meeting with a bankruptcy trustee. This is called the meeting of the creditors. Sometimes the shorthand for it is called the 341 meeting, 341 just being the bankruptcy code section that authorizes this particular meeting. This is a very brief meeting. It's usually about 5 minutes long. And one nice thing is post-COVID-19 pandemic, this is all done virtually. We used to have to go down to the courthouse to do the meeting of creditors. It's now done via Zoom in Arizona. It's literally a 5-minute meeting where they verify your identity, put you under oath, ask you if what you've submitted to the court is accurate, and then make sure you understand how to make your monthly plan payments and those types of things. Now, once your meeting of creditors is over, you have the hard part, because 30 days after the case is filed with the court, you have to start making that monthly plan payment to the court. Now, in the background, your bankruptcy attorney, like myself, is working with the trustee and creditors to resolve any objections that creditors are raising to the plan that was proposed. About 45 days after the meeting of creditors, the trustee issues something, and this is an Arizona-specific thing, but they'll issue something called the trustee's recommendation or the trustee's evaluation. It's essentially a punch list where they've gone through the claims that creditors have filed with the court, as well as the plan, and itemized anything that needs to be addressed or changed or dealt with before confirmation. Now, in many states, confirmation of the Chapter 13 plan, which is just a big word for meaning that it's been approved by the court and approved by your creditors and the trustee, sometimes this is done via a hearing where the information is presented to the court. In Arizona, it's almost always done with what's called a stipulated order confirming your plan. This is where we, in response to that punch list that the trustees provided, your bankruptcy attorney prepares an order that you sign, the attorney signs, the trustee signs, and then it's submitted to the judge for your judge to sign off on that. That's essentially the roadmap or the instructions for the bankruptcy trustee as far as how they're going to pay the creditors, who's receiving what, and in what amounts as they go out. Now, in a lot of cases, that's really it. Then, like I said, the hard part of just making sure you make those payments each and every month throughout your case. It's important to note that Chapter 13 is a fluid process, though, that if your income goes significantly up or down, you may have to amend your plan or modify a confirmed plan to either increase the amount that's going to go to your creditors or decrease if your income goes down significantly. If you're to lose a job or your income drops considerable, it's even possible to convert your Chapter 13 to a Chapter 7. But once you go through all 36 months or 60 months, however long your plan is, once the final payment is made, you're then required to take an online financial management course. This is very similar to the Chapter 7 process. And then the judge will enter your discharge order, which eliminates any outstanding balances on unsecured credit cards, medical bills. They may have received a little bit of money during your case, but any additional balance that's still owed would then be discharged at that point. In most Chapter 13 cases, your unsecured creditors, again, the medical bills, the credit cards, the personal loans, most of them receive relatively little through this process, where other debts that receive priority, like taxes, child support, car payments, they're paid in full through the Chapter 13 plan. So that's generally what it looks like. Like I said, we'll be doing a video here shortly that'll go into a deep dive on how the plan payment is calculated, but that's what you're looking at for a Chapter 13. It keeps your creditors at bay. It brings some structure to essentially a settlement of your debts and forces them to work with you to get some type of resolution. If you're considering bankruptcy and you're in the state of Arizona, check out my information below this video. I'm happy to do a free consultation where we can discuss whether Chapter 13, Chapter 7, or bankruptcy in general, if it's a good option for dealing with your debt issues. Thanks for watching today.